Hi, welcome to the artist lecture for set 2. These are studio actions 1.8, 1.9, and 1.15. So we'll start off with 1.8. In your textbook, it's a pointillistic pattern. The concept: closely spaced dots tend to create visual density gradients and energy patterns. Pointillism is based on the perceptual phenomenon of optical fusion and was explored by the French painter Georges Seurat. So we're going to be doing, for their key kinetic trigger mechanisms, is repeat, superimpose, animate, combine optically. So the studio action states: make a line drawing on a selected subject on a sheet of pen or ink paper with medium hard pencil. Switch to a pen and ink and render the composition using only dots. Create dark and light passages as well as modeled effects by controlling the pointillistic technique. Do not outline any portion of the drawing, instead rely on the dots that are closely together to define images and edges. So this is going to be a lot of those Gestalt theories that are coming through here, which is going to be pretty exciting. Now, these have the standard minimum 8 by 8 inches, 300 dpi, or larger, however you want, but at minimum has to be that size. You can choose Photoshop or Illustrator, your choice. So here are some examples. This is just sort of a patterned example of dots, very general. But when thinking about this, I was really inspired by pointillist tattoos that I've seen very popular. Closely packed dots, you can see here, are together and they fill a space. So they create a shape. The dots create a shape. They appear unified, Gestalt, to create a form. They're sort of abstract and geometric. And here's another one. And you can definitely do your own research. I thought these were some cool examples. So this one does have lines. You want to make sure there's no outline, so you're using the dots to kind of blend through. Now my suggestion is maybe you're creating a pattern in Photoshop or Illustrator. Maybe you draw something, scan it in, or find an image you like, take it as a layer, lock that layer, and then build layers on top of that with either in Photoshop or Illustrator. Now this is a little different. Now it's not just dots, but thinking of shapes that are working together to create forms, and this is an interactive piece. A little bit more complete, but thinking about how the dots are working together to create shapes, but also lines as well. And these are actually more squares than dots. Chuck Close is a great example. Definitely do some research on him. But his closely packed dots or forms, a little abstracted here, that are kind of built upon each other to create a full piece of work. Think about positive and negative space. You may use color if you like. Think of how layering up techniques could be really fun. So previously we were doing dots are very abstract. We're just placing dots on. Think about the visual energy. Now we're kind of tightening up, and we want it to make it look like something. Now it doesn't have to put dots together to make it look like an animal, but the dots together could look like something a little bit more abstract, just not dots on a page filling a space, generating visual energy. These are more organized. some more examples. And I pulled this is like a macro photograph. This is a photograph, but something about this could lend us inspiration. We see these sort of condensed forms here, which could be really interesting. Think about positive and negative figure ground where you can push and pull. Student examples. So a lot of students kind of did a little bit more basic stuff, but thinking about playing around with opacity is going to help you build up your dots. You can change the size. Remember, you can change the size of your brushes using the left and right brackets on your keyboard. You can go pretty abstract with it and use kind of the different stuff that Photoshop or Illustrator will offer. And definitely putting on your smart guides would help. I would probably take a shape, copy it in either Illustrator, and just nudge it over within using my tools. Maybe I have an outline underneath that I'm using as a guide and hiding or removing that layer later. 1.9. So 1.9 is pattern by groupings of letters or numerals. So an all-over pattern can be created by using letters or words. This is not about text or language. So we're not making things about language. It's not about the words. We're taking shapes that exist from letters, characters, numerals, symbols. I think that's in our type form, and our type demo will definitely lend us to think about this. We're using that as the form to create this all-over pattern. Let it be a little fun and abstract. Now, these other kind of studio actions are kind of texts that are filling to make it look like a photograph of something, or in the textbook it kind of looks like the Statue of Liberty with different text. It's a bold. We're not looking for that. If we're kind of using this to create an all-over pattern. So repeat, combine, animate. So we're using letters or numerals or technical symbols to produce an all-over pattern. Repeat the units, have them touch and overlap. I say have them overlap. So we're working at creating a integrated design of positive and negative space figure ground. We're not making it look like something. So the top image, letter pattern by Julie Mirsky, which is sort of this really abstract one with these J's and I's. That's a little bit more than what we're looking for than anything else. So we have these pre-existing shapes in language and text. And we're using that to modify the shapes and let the letters become shapes and not, hey, I have this word, I'm going to make this word look like a shark, but it says shark. That's too obvious. That's not what we're looking for. So a lot of typography will definitely inspire us, but we could be deterred by this typography being as sort of a means to sell something or playing around with text to make it look like the thing it's supposed to look like. Now this is a little far off, but this is obviously an advertisement for happy hour, but using text to fill up. But a really key important is sort of the overlapping in the middle of the champagne glass. But the text doesn't matter, it's just filling a form. There's shapes that are working together. Again, this is obviously about language, but thinking about various ways you to be inspired. Think about overlapping and colors and modifying type. And you can download fonts off the internet for inspiration, but don't just say, hey, I put some type down and put it on, let's see how it works. But really taking the letters, modifying them, making them unique, and seeing them as shapes and not about language. And these artists like Cecil Touchon, you can definitely research further to see what else they've done. You can put everything in a matrix. And really do not try to make it look like a thing. A lot of students will try to make their objects, their images, look like something that exists in the world because that's how you understand them. You see this, it looks like, say it looks like a fox. Okay, I get a fox, I understand it quick and easy. If you make things too easy for your viewers, they're less likely to engage and appreciate all the texture and the forms and the energy that it's creating. Do not make it too easy for your audience. These are some student examples. So really take around with the shapes and where they fit together, pulling them around, and really altering what we can do. .15 should be fun. Is a constellation. So a galactic structure is composed of interconnected lines and nodes, which kind of makes you think of when we're playing around with the pen tool, you have your anchor points and paths. Repeat, connect, animate. So arbitrarily position 200 dots on a sheet of drawing paper. So fill in your artboard or whatever you have on your page and your document with lots of dots or nodes, and connect them to produce an intricate visual structure. For the dots, colored marking pens. So really I want you to be creative. This could be open, it could be abstract, it could be full of color, you can build something up about it. So again, kind of simple example, but thinking about the structure between the forms that are creating, what's connected, what's not connected, what's connected to multiple units. Play around with opacity. You can even go up to 400 dots, but you should fill the page with lots of different dots. They can be different sizes as well. Lines could have varied widths. And maybe your paths between the nodes, the dots, could be extra dots. To be very elegant and gorgeous. Or simple and kind of have sort of this like techie logo feel. Again, you would need more for this. Some sculptural things to be inspired by. Maybe you think about how your work would exist in a 3D space. Or sculptural. I think this is visual display. But you can take everything you learn from here, even though we're in a digital space, and take it out into the physical world. Just some standard space things. Maybe you create your own constellations. Maybe you have a fun sort of background where you're playing around with different brushes and textures. Maybe you kind of give it a space. Maybe you animate sort of mythical creatures from your lines. And I don't want you to look up exactly constellations and copy them. I want them to be formed organically from your own process. Make your own constellations, make unique constellations. And this is a little off, but when thinking about this project, I was thinking of these sort of that's my dog, hammer and nail sort of fabric thread pieces that I've seen very popular on the Pinterest. And maybe that could be some point of inspiration. Mobile. Student examples. Again, I would want more than this, but it's a good start. Definitely try to add some depth and background. Think about texture and value, what you can bring in. And that's the end of this lecture. So definitely post your process, your ideas to keep going. Again, these are going to be like before, they're 15 points each. They're going to be a little smaller. And I'm going to repeat again, for set 2 for the type, 1.8, do not make it look like a thing. I shouldn't have the word text of shark and make it look like a shark. Let it be abstract, because students will tend to make things that look like things. And I want you to kind of think about creativity in a different way. And good luck with your project.